Hey guys, it's Shanda with the Bold Exploration Podcast. I'm so excited you're here this week. This week on the podcast, we have Pam from Grandkids Toolbox. I've known Pam for a couple of years now, and what always struck me about her and her husband was how brilliantly they incorporated family time and travel and building those lifelong memories with their grandkids by just being there. So I hope this week you find some inspiration from how Pam and her husband have set up their lives. I know you're going to love her as much as I do. I can't wait to hear what y'all think about her story. Pam, thank you so much for joining me today on the Bold Exploration Podcast. You have always been one of the favorite people for me to talk to and hear your stories, and listening to you talk about your family and listening to you talk about your grandkids brings me back to such a personal place, because the people who taught me to love exploring and love seeking adventure in this world were my grandparents on both sides. So when I talk to you, I just love how it brings me back to that place of childhood wonderment. And I just feel like your story is so interesting, and how you carried on the tradition of travel in your family is just so unique, and so what we need right now for the family unit. So I could tell the world about your story, but I want you to share it, because it's wonderful, and I want other people to be able to experience it the way I did. All right.
Well, I'm delighted to be here. We both have in common that we came out of the homeschooling movement. So there's a piece of that kind of drew me to you as well. So we have 4 kids in 4 states, and we homeschooled in the 80s and 90s, and nobody lives not near us now. Nobody lives nearby. So you get so invested in your kids when they're growing up. You get to do stuff with them. You imagine you're going to be best friends forever. And then they grow up, go to college, get married, and move out of state. So you're kind of going, all these people I love that I've been hanging out with for almost, 2+ decades are now no longer nearby. And then the magic happens when they call up and announce, we're going to have a baby. And you're going, yay, but you're in Okinawa, or you're in South Dakota, or you're in Nebraska, or you're in Michigan. And you start thinking, okay, this family that we curated for 20 years with our homeschooling, our vacations, our baseball, our reading, the stories we did, the meals we did, everything that defined us now has to be rethought as a grandparent, because you don't parent your kids, and you certainly don't parent your daughters-in-law and your sons-in-law. Those are hands-off people. But you're sitting here going, I had a dream. I had a dream for my family. My family's growing. It's expanding. I have grandkids. I need to figure out at this season of my life what it looks like to be part of this family that has changed from when I got to be the boss of it 30-some years ago. And so our solution for that was, if they're not going to travel to us, we're going to travel to them in such a way that we're not a headache. We're not going to outstay our welcome. We're going to just plan ourselves by them for 4 to 6 months, be a part of their life as much as they'll let us, but live our own life and enjoy the fact that we're retired, and then just see where that takes us. So that's what we've been doing for 4 years.
Wow. So I love it. So some people watching may not see this, and people listening won't see this, but you're actually in an RV right now, right?
I am.
So when you're traveling to visit with your grandkids, y'all are literally picking up your home and moving it to your family. And is there a better statement than home is where the heart is? Literally, you just take it with you.
It certainly can't be where your stuff is. I mean, we we realized about 9 years ago that we were going to have to do something different than just keep ourselves planted in Illinois. So 5 years ago or 9 years ago, we came across the idea of moving into a RV and traveling to where our kids were. But you're sitting here looking around your house with 35 years of accumulated stuff, and you're going, it won't all fit in an RV. So 9 years ago, we started the plan of the retirement plan, this season of our life plan. And we asked ourselves, are we using it right now? Yes or no? Will we use it in the RV? Yes or no? Does somebody else need it? Yes or no? And we downsized 90% of our stuff, and we kind of travel and get to see it in our friends' houses. We get to see it in our kids' houses because it's hanging on their wall, or it's the recliner that's in their study, or it's the hide-a-bed that's in their guest room.
I love it. I love it. So, tell me, how has traveling to these families, because I know some people, I come from a close family. Some people may cringe when they might think about, oh my gosh, family coming this close to me for a while, or even, other grandparents might think, I don't know if I would be welcome if I was in that situation. So like, how did you bridge that with your kids and with their families to be like, how do we make this beneficial for everybody?
Well, I think, and there's always complications in relationships. I mean, the key to having a good relationship with your grandkids is to have a good relationship with their parents. So you can't just move in and say, hey, I want all access to your kids whenever I want because I'm here for 4 months. So we had conversations with our kids. We explained what we were going to do. We said, hey, you don't have to take care of us. You don't have to entertain us. We will find the hikes we want to go on and the special things in Georgia that we want to go see. We're going to go alligator hunting, and we'll go down to Florida and go into the cold water springs down there. And you don't have to entertain us. But what we'd like to do, so it's kind of setting expectations, but also both of us had to set up boundaries. What we told them we wanted to do, we want to come to sporting events. We want to go to the same church you're going to. We want to hang out we want to invite you to our camper for a campfire and dinner. We want you to invite us when it's convenient for a birthday party or Easter or whatever it is. But you don't have to take care of us. You don't have to entertain us. But we would like to match up our schedules every week or so to see what we're doing and what you're doing and where we might intersect. But because we're places for 4 months, we really have a lot of time to say, hey, is there a time you want to go away for a weekend and leave the kids with us? Ooh. Schedule it now. We'll be there for 4 months. Or is there, do you want to drop off Nash, at the camper 2 days a week while you go to the barn? So part of it is you a little bit say, hey, while we're around, if you want date night, a weekend away, scheduled time away from your kids, we're available. So part of it is you get a little bit salt the water and say, while we're here, not only do we want to have fun with you, but we're available to do some childcare or to do some respite care for when you guys just need to get away. So our kids take us up on that. They take us up on that, and we schedule that sometimes months in advance.
That's wonderful. I bet they really do take advantage of that. I mean, I love being able to just call my mom or my mother-in-law and be like, hey, you want to take these kids for a weekend and let me go take care of this over here? Just knowing that they've got that coming down the line, it's got to be a huge weight off their chest for them. So I have to bring something up before we get too far along. I kind of spend some time on your website, and I've read a lot of your blog posts, but you said something on one of your blog posts that it was so connected to what I think what your life is about right now. It says, the loss of my mom caused me to take a much closer look at the relationships I had with my own children and grandchildren. Time is short and it moves quickly. No one knows when their time will run out. Successful families need to play the long game because there really is no other game. And I loved that when I read it because I thought, that's what we're doing as families. We're taking this time to, spend time together, create these memories that are going to outlast us.
Exactly. We're passing the baton too. I mean, when you realize how short life is, I mean, I've lost both my parents. My husband's lost both of his and one brother. We're the oldest. My husband and I are the oldest left in our families. And so you do realize that the time is short. And we were challenged before we moved into the RV to think about what our family would look like 100 years from now, 100 years from any point in time. And so we pick our anniversary of when we got married. We got married in 1977, and we say 100 years from 1977, 2077, what will our family look like? What could our family look like? What could we be doing now that would create bonds and connections and stories that might still be being told in 2077? So I've kind of talked about it with my grandkids. I go, how old are you going to be? And Wolfgang goes, I think I'm going to be 64. And I said, yep, you are. So do you think you'll be married? Do you think you'll have kids? Do you think you'll have grandkids? And yep. And so I want what we're doing now, living in the RV, coming to be by you, doing things together with you, to be part of the stories you tell your grandkids. Hey, this is what I used to do with Grams and Grandpa when they lived in the RV and came and visited us.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. So you travel a lot to your grandkids and to your children. Tell me about a multi-generational trip that you've taken together. And maybe isn't you traveling to them, but y'all going somewhere together?
Well, we have probably the coolest trip we did was a 3-generation trip, but it was the military kind of has decided where our coolest trips are going to be. So so we actually have done trips overseas to where our son lives with his family, and we have taken kids with us. So we've taken cousins along. So we have gone where we now have aunts and uncles. And one of my sons often can fly in and join us because he's also military, and he'll just say, well, they're going to send me to, Guam. So I'll be there. And if we overlap, so we try to get cousins and aunts and uncles and my husband and I to all be in the same place at the same time. But we have not all of us been together for 8 years, all 20 of us in the same place at the same time.
Wow.
Because of geographical challenges. So we do tend to do it in little pieces, but the coolest ones are when we go someplace tropical like Guam, Okinawa, Hawaii. Hawaii is by far my favorite place to go with my family. And the time just slows down when you're on a trip like that. It just slows down. And then you really do get to focus. The busyness of even trying to see attractions goes away when you're just in some place that the attraction is the place. And we just go to beaches, we swim, we look at sea turtles, we go to sandbars, we climb mountains, we walk along Pearl Harbor, we go see some of the sites, we climb up volcanoes, and it's just, the place becomes kind of where we just leisurely explore it, hang out, have breakfast, have lunch, sit out on the patio, play games, read books, and then just kind of be a family together without all the hustle and bustle of too much planning. So it works best when we kind of go somewhere where some of our kids live so that we are slowing down, getting the last few minutes of fun out of doing a cruise or a Disney World or something really big like that, though plane fare is always the big thing.
I hear you on that one.
It's the big thing.
Wow. Well, like I said, I love your story, and I love the photos on your website of your grandkids, and I have the benefit of knowing you personally. Um, if you had one piece of advice to give grandparents who are maybe a little hesitant to kind of pick up and go travel with their grandkids, or what advice would you give them to overcome that hurdle?
I say that the biggest thing that stops you is fear of what people are going to think of you. And so you need to know what it is you really, really want. And if you want a connection with your family and your grandkids, in today's day and age, somebody has to travel. You either have to travel to them or they have to travel to you. But if you travel to them, you're going to see them in their habitat, in their environment. You're going to see them where they're really the most comfortable. It won't be perfect. And I think my advice is it won't be perfect. Don't set your expectations high. Set them very, very, very low. And then just go in going, it'll be what it'll be. But if I have one good conversation, if I get one good hug, if we read one story together, if we go on one walk together, I am building little bitty pieces of the building blocks into their life, in their connections of getting to know me and knowing that I care about them. So set low expectations is probably my best advice in a nutshell.
I love that. Honestly, I do. I do love it because it's so true. Isn't it so much better when you don't expect it? That's why everybody's excited about winning the lottery, right?
I know. And sometimes when your travel is, your expectations are low. We're going to be someplace new. There will be, let's see what color the dirt is in Georgia as compared to the color of the dirt in Illinois. I mean, just going, I'm not going to figure out all the secrets of every place we go to. But if you keep your eyes open for the little things that are unique and different about each place, and keep your expectations low about, how much fun you're going to have or how much your life is going to change because you travel, your life will change and you will have fun because you're not putting too much pressure on the event or the trip to make it has to be this to be worth it. It doesn't. Little itty bitty wins are good enough when you're talking about building relationships and building memories. Little wins is how it gets built.
I love it. Well, I know you've got a busy afternoon, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I cannot let you leave without telling people about your grandkids toolbox or your grandparents toolbox. I need you to tell people about that because it is brilliant.
Well, thank you. I never expected that I would be doing anything with a website or a blog, but I realized that as I started to spend time with my kids, again, the expectation wasn't I wasn't with them all the time, but I started to plan, well, what do I want to do with them? How do I want to make it work? What will make it easier for this whole traveling and spending time work? And I started to write out ideas, and somebody said, well, you should put these on a blog post. You should share these ideas with people. So partly figuring out what makes it work, because I have 11 grandkids in 4 states. How am I going to make it work? How are we going to connect close up and long distance? Kind of led me to say, I just need a whole bunch of tools. I need Grandkid Toolbox. I need stuff that will help me with my relationships, with what do I want to do when I'm with them. And because I was a nurse, I kind of have the developmental background about Maslow and Erickson's and all of those developmental stages. And I thought, well, I should just explore, what are the developmental stages of my grandkids? What do they need from me? What needs can I meet? What needs are not being met that I am perfect to fit into? And as I started writing all these little jots of things down on notebook pieces of paper, I was encouraged, write them out and share them with other people. So Grandkid Toolbox is the sharing of ideas and exploring ideas of things to do that will strengthen those connections you have with your family, particularly with your grandkids.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you
I
for
always
inviting
love
me,
our
Shanda.
I always love our conversations.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much.
Isn't Pam and her husband amazing? I mean, to just change your life like that, but with the whole goal of spending time with your grandchildren and really developing those relationships with your kids. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing, guys. And I know you guys were inspired by her just as much as I am. Don't forget, we're still running our giveaways. Tell us what you think of this podcast. Leave a review. Send us a message through email or any of our social media channels, or even just reach out to Pam and let her know what you thought, and that will instantly enter you in our giveaway for a Kendra Scott necklace. I am excited to see who wins this. And on Thursday, we're going to have a little bonus episode because me and Pam, we spent a few more minutes together after we stopped recording, and I just couldn't help but give you a little extra snippet of what happened behind the scenes with this very inspirational lady. See you Thursday, and then again next week. Bye.